will benefit from extra content professional eyes and hands monitoring your chat. And so this becomes another thing that you should consider, those 4 items. And the last being your tech support.
Streaming live and you are communicating in some way.
Right.
And that is the thing of it being live, right?
You have a goal and you want to take this time and it's going to be more than 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. I'm talking about real engagement, having a Q&A, taking the time that allows your audience to digest, and consume your message or your service, whatever it is that you're doing, your goal, and to actually take action on the goal in the videos.
Change the Reel, a podcast with Monique Velasquez and
Piper Kessler. For over 20 years, we've run a video production business that has achieved what only 3% of women entrepreneurs have done.
exceed $250,000 in revenue. We want to see business owners that look like us succeed. That's why we've started this podcast.
Change the Reel will drop twice a month.
We'll release 2 types of episodes. One is with Piper and I kicking it and talking about using video in business.
And the second features conversations with business owners using media to drive diverse perspectives. This is Change the Reel.
Representation starts here.
Hey y'all,
y'all.
I'm Monique Velasquez.
And I'm Piper Kessler.
I love giving folks a way to think about using video in their marketing. I believe that recording or going live to talk about your brand is a valuable and underused tool. You don't necessarily want to DIY this type of complex video content unless the DIY is part of the message. Today, we're here to talk about understanding and being educated about how much it costs to live stream. We're going to break this into a few ideas first.
And we will define live streaming uses, list a few business scenarios that benefit from these live stream events, and why you should live stream. The stats, discuss the value-based costs of live streaming. What type of support do you need? Suggestions for DIY or how to cut costs for lower budgets.
Live streaming refers to content, either audio or video, that's being broadcast live through the internet via dedicated streaming software or webinar platform. It's similar to a traditional TV or radio broadcast, only users get more options on how or where they'd like to watch the content. Maybe rewinding the live stream is possible. Having a public or having a private audience is also possible. The most popular platforms for live stream include Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Live streaming. How much live streaming? We've talked about live streaming before in some other episodes.
True.
And
We do a lot of it.
we do a lot of it. And so we watch a lot of meetings, live meetings that are public, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to watch live sports as well. Now, I pay for a streaming platform to watch these sports. So I get to watch certain leagues and certain sports on these paid for platforms. Now, is that private? Is that public? It's kind of public. It's kind of private because I had to pay for it to get there, right? And I can't rebroadcast it. I don't watch much Twitch.
No,
I don't understand the whole watching a gamer, but that is not for me. That's for a very much younger
could
audience.
happen.
Yeah, you know what?
It could. I can see it happening.
Maybe I should probably try it out to see what's going on. And YouTube is one of those places where I love to stream for my clients onto YouTube because it is so easy. They make it so simple for us to be able to get in and get the connection and make that happen. And Facebook,
Not so much.
blah. I am not a fan of the Facebook streaming opportunities because they lock it down and they really want you to be on their platform only.
Mhm.
Now, there are other places where, streaming happens. Webinars.
True.
Skype was a thing at one point where you might be able to talk and do an interview or Q&A. Zoom.
Right, right, right.
And so I find it interesting that, when we're putting this together, we mention, and there are a lot more stats about YouTube and Twitch and Facebook as live streaming platforms and places to go versus Zoom. Zoom is probably more of a private or ticketed event.
Yes. Yeah. You would hope.
And I think it would be very difficult to get stats about what's happening on a
Uh,
platform like that. Some of the other things that I know that, podcasting, there are some podcasts that actually go live. And so they might actually do a live audio stream. XM and Sirius, I don't even know if those are still things. I think XM is still a thing. So I don't think Sirius Radio is still
pretty
out there.
sure.
One of
Pretty
them
sure.
got gobbled up. I can't recall. And so, those as platforms are places that I see as, extensions of the old broadcast places. And YouTube, interestingly enough, we found out today, is becoming watched more on big screens.
Right.
It is vastly consumed.
Living rooms.
Right, living rooms. It's vastly consumed on small devices, tablets, and mobile devices. But
It's now competing with Netflix.
as on the big screen, can you imagine? That
Yeah.
just seems a little strange to me that, YouTube is
But
a
we kinda have done that. If you think about it, it's like when we wanted to consume some stuff together at the same time, we kinda have done that in a
we watched a
way.
game that way.
Yeah, we did watch a game that way.
That's right. We did a
So, a
basketball game.
YouTube, yeah.
It was a basketball
Via
game, yeah.
yeah.
Used YouTube to access the private broadcast, so that was where we are.
It was a different yeah, finding out about that was different thinking.
Yeah. That's what we have as far as places to go, for live streaming. And let's talk a little bit about live stream events, the types of events that are possible for businesses.
So, most live streamers broadcast gaming content, though there are other applications such as meetings, conferences, schools, classes, music. I've seen a lot of concerts lately, especially a lot of benefit concerts, vlogging, demonstrations, Q&A sessions, and webinars.
If you think about live streaming, I recommend starting by defining your goals if you're going to start thinking about using live streaming. So, your business goals and who your audience is.
Right.
That's the first thing. As a professional, video production and communicator, having that audience defined and having your goals for why you're communicating is super important to start. If you're trying to increase your brand as a goal, if you're trying to drive sales as a goal, especially if you have a new product or you have a demonstration of some service that you have, right? Engage your community and build loyalty with an informal chat. Maybe that's your goal, to have a community built around a Q&A session. Or to provide customer support, like, oh, we're having this big bug happen, and so let's jump on a Q&A and have all our paid clients come in and, access our engineers to help get them through this bug, or how to install this patch or get past this obstacle. Maybe you want to showcase your company culture behind the scenes. So you might do, you have an event and you're setting up and you see how happy your employees are, putting up the decorations. And so this is a way for you to showcase how your company works well together. So what other things can you see that would be interesting to see behind the scenes or in a live setting for demonstration, or your goals in particular?
I mean, I've watched people's yard stuff, like how did they do stuff just to get an idea. I mean, it's a learning thing, right? So the advantage for the live streaming is you can sit there and you can interject and you can become part of it. You can ask a question, even if it's just in the chat.
Right.
that's the advantage of live streaming, and you start feeling like you may feel like you're part of the production, right? It's
R
like, "Oh, you guys, I can't see this part of the board," or, you're not attending to this other person's question.
Yeah. And so, live streaming has, the ability to help your customer get engaged with your business, either your goals or your message or your mission. And so I see that's where having the live stream goals and your audience really define, because it will inform the type of live stream that you might actually engage in.
Well, and you need to understand your customers and, how are they gonna engage? What's the best platform to maybe catch them on?
That's true. It's like where they are on the journey. Are they in the buying phase?
Mm.
Are they in the application phase and or the learning about how to use it phase? And so those types of things will also, you're going to find data about your company by how they engage with you at different types of live stream focused goals, right? Live streaming also has the capacity to engage learners. We've seen, snow days, reduce because teachers are expected to teach and have students in front of the screen and engage. And there's supposed to be a two-way. It's not Aristotelian where they're just lectured at. There's supposed to be an engagement, right? And so the world has changed quite a bit. And I believe what we know about live streaming will take over quite a bit. It used to be a lot of static, like, the TikTok thing where you're just watching. But I think live streaming is positioned to take over more of business and education and learning as far as a platform and a way to engage with
Hmm.
learning as the style or an addition to or a support of, one-on-one.
I mean, yeah, with pandemic, everything changed,
Right.
right? And how we engage with one another is very different.
Mhm.
So today we're gonna have some numbers for you. Let's start with some compelling stats about using live streaming for video for businesses. Livestream, in partnership with New York Magazine, surveyed 1,000 adults to see how they use live streaming. 80% of respondents said that they'll watch a stream from a brand rather than read a blog from the same company. 82% would watch a live stream rather than go through a brand's social media posts. 67% of people who watched a live streaming event ended up buying a ticket for a similar event. 87% said they prefer watching live stream videos because it features behind the scenes content. I do that. Like if it's got a little bit of behind the scenes, yeah, I'm suddenly perked up and
Yeah,
I'm
you tune
listening
in
in.
because, like, we're interested in the tech part. What kind of mics are they
Yeah.
using? What kinda
Yeah, that's
lights are they
true.
dragging
Yeah.
out? How are
It's
they
like, oh, what they got there?
I know, what kinda
Um,
monitors are they putting out?
54, how many people are there of helping with the production?
That's right.
54% of live streaming content is focused on gaming and esports. Twitch is one of the biggest live streaming platforms with 30 million daily
And
visitors.
there's another little thing about
Okay.
Twitch. Twitch, personalities are making money.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about YouTubers and you hear about influencers, but you don't think about Twitch as a place where you're going to go live and get engagement and get sponsors and get, real cash money coming in the door for being live and doing the thing that you do. So I find Twitch an interesting addition to our conversation lately.
Gotta check some stuff out. So the live streaming market is going to grow to 223.98 billion
With a B.
by 2028. Not that far away. According to Grandview Research, there are several reasons for the expected growth. For example, the rise of technological advancements like blockchain in video streaming.
That's really interesting.
The blockchain, like it's
Yeah.
not just Bitcoin.
That's right.
So, yeah, that you can the security and everything, all those computers out there, that helps video, right? In streaming, artificial intelligence will improve video quality, leading to increased demand. And that's interesting because we go back and forth about AI,
We do.
and it it's helpful, but there are times too where you notice that it's there, and is that
A little heavy-handed,
a little heavy-handed
are we
maybe?
pushing the future by allowing it's like the jump cut.
Yeah.
TikTok, introduced the jump cut, and the first time I used it in a professional video, I wanted to pull my hair out, but I let it go.
What is a jump cut?
So, the
Yeah.
the idea that there's a static camera and maybe my hand is up, and then all of a sudden I'm in the same sentence and my hand and my head are pointed in another direction, so it jumped immediately somewhere else.
So the editing cut
Yeah, is
is not
visible. Is
what
becomes vis
used to be acceptable.
Yes, it was invisible. We in To be trained, you would learn the transition from shot to shot should be invisible, and now it's not. And so using our artificial intelligence in a way that's heavy-handed will potentially push the subtleties and use to a more acceptable for audiences the more we use it.
So cloud-based video streaming solutions will also increase the reach of video content.
Right, the technology in general, right? Having access to the internet, we're gonna be dependent a lot, and, this whole disruption with the was it Cloudflare?
Oh,
Might
yeah.
it's going to I think it's
Yeah.
gonna impact, and so for me, I think about this a lot of times, this idea that the internet and this technology and access I've seen I'm gonna analogize it to 3D video at home. I've seen 3D video probably since the '90s, and it's been sold to the consumer since about the '90s. We don't talk about 3D video on the daily. And I think it was about 7, 10 years ago, 3D video, which is 360 video, was like all the rage in my industry
Hmm.
and with my colleagues. But I'm not hearing a whole lot of companies that are just doing that. And so, like the internet and the cloud based and the access to these things, I think a lot of things have to change before it becomes common and daily. There are lots of options to use the cloud-based video and streaming, and they are good, and they are useful, and they are definitely worth paying for, but know that you need to make a backup for when you don't have access to the power, to the cloud, to the internet.
Be prepared. Other reasons for such a positive outlook include the growing acceptance of smartphones alongside the acceptability of high speed internet technologies. So, along your lines of saying, yeah, the Cloudflare down, and how it affected everybody doing work, it's also don't just assume you're going to have high speed internet wherever you go if you are mobile.
It's true.
That's
There's a digital divide in this country in the rural places and in poor or economically depressed areas, just like banks aren't available everywhere.
And I mean, there are some dead holes, like we've discovered where you're somewhere
Cell drops.
and cell drops, and it doesn't make any sense. But
There it is.
just a warning, just be prepared. If you're gonna do something live stream, make sure that the internet is working there and you have a backup. There's also a growing demand for hardware, mobile devices that are capable of supporting digital media from anywhere in the world. So you could, and we have had this issue where you are in a rural area or you've gone to another country, you can, there is now a way, and it's easier for the consumer to buy internet that's going to work wherever you are.
Let's get to some ideas to consider when thinking about the value of your live streaming. 82% of consumers prefer to engage with the brand on a live stream rather than through social media posts. 67% of the audiences claim that video quality is the most important factor while watching a live stream. I think they mean audio more than they mean video, but let's move on.
It probably depends. If it's a sport, they might,
That might be true. Yeah, they could watch it with mute. 75% or more millennials believe that live streams have helped them compare products while shopping online. Live shopping can include haul videos, unboxing videos, demos of products, right? These are straightforward live streams and are cost effective. They help the consumer learn about your product and is a way for you to expand your business reach and communicate directly with audiences in real time. And, you can turn the live stream off and walk away after it's done, right? So that's one of my favorite things about live streaming. We're talking about live streaming that is not just, hey, selfie, with a phone, going live. We're talking about more of a longer event live.
that has engagement. You're streaming live and you are communicating in some way.
Right.
And that is the thing of it being live,
Yes,
right?
you have a goal and you want to take this time and it's going to be more than 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. I'm talking about real engagement, having a Q&A, taking the time that allows your audience to digest, and consume your message or your service, whatever it is that you're doing, your goal, and to actually take action on the goal in the video. So that's what I mean by a longer video.
And you can take it and break it down later.
Mhm.
That live event can definitely be made into lots of little videos.
Right. And
So
and that is like we talk about, preach, get that long form content chopped up into smaller content. Let me talk a little bit about, your viewers, right? Why do this? And the big one is, let's see, every 6-second delay in the start
Right.
results, it results in 6% of viewer bounces.
right. And then we read later that actually it
Higher.
may actually be higher.
Right.
Like people are quicker to leave.
And I love this one too. People who are engaged in live streams are 43% more likely to buy a premium product or service. So this is really important if you have a service that is a high ticket, considering live, either a challenge or a webinar or something that is actually live that is going to get engagement where you have your audience truly asking questions, truly
They're there for a reason.
getting value from what it is that you're talking about. Well, let's talk about the money and what you need to spend, right? Which is the reason why you've tuned in, right? In the first place, you need to factor in these ideas for spending money. First is bandwidth of your internet or your cellular data costs. So you can think, yeah, $30 if you go with kind of a limited data or a limited internet action, right? So
Mhm.
you're starting with a fairly small cost over a month, right? Second is the streaming platform. Do you need to pay extra for bandwidth, or is there a cap on how many audience members or how many streams or how many minutes or what quality you stream in?
Mhm.
Whether you can have a multi-stream. So your streaming platform can actually be a cost that you're kind of negating, especially if you're thinking, just do the selfie with a cell phone. So that is someplace, and you can get a monthly for free in some places. But if you want some of the other ability to go to multiple places, what they call multi-stream, or you want to have a lot more bigger audience because I think Zoom caps you out at about a few hundred.
And isn't there is there a time cap? I can't, oh, it might be on the recording, there's a
I think
time
it's
cap.
45 minutes for a meeting, I think was the Zoom capacity. And then, you've got places like StreamYard and some of the other places that have free, but you're limited to the number of minutes. And sometimes it's the you're limited on the quality and how much bandwidth you use in a month. So you might come out with, between 5 and $30 for streaming platform. So about $65 so far. The third thing,
Mm.
the third thing that you need to consider is equipment and production costs. Will you do this in-house? Will you do this in-house with AI support or outsource it to a contractor or a virtual assistant? So these are the places where you may decide, the more complicated it is, and by it, I mean your live stream, the more you'll pay for the equipment that you need and the expertise needed to function or to make that equipment work. So those are the types of things that you want to consider. Now, I can't put a number on that.
Right. Do you need people in the chat to help talk to other
I
people
mean, let's just talk about
and
the
the tech?
equipment.
Okay,
The
so the tech.
equipment
Yeah,
in the
okay.
equipment. So, I mean, that becomes kind of the wild card. If you're going to do it in-house, they're already on the payroll. If you're doing a VA, I don't know what you're paying per month, what
Yeah,
you're
okay.
willing to pay. And so those are the types of things on the equipment and the person to run the equipment. And AI, you may subscribe to an AI assistant for your staff to do that. What is that a month? Could be $30 a month. So we're looking at a theme here. And so the fourth thing that you need to consider in your money and your budget is your tech support during the event. Are you going to have internal staff or a virtual assistant again? If you have plans to drop information or to do a poll or have workshop experience where people are doing the work and maybe need to ask questions for clarification while they're working, you will benefit from extra content professional eyes and hands monitoring your chat. And so this becomes another thing that you should consider, those four items, and the last being your tech support. So let's talk about your tech support needs.
Live video beyond the selfie mode is complex. You need a platform to go to and you need a plan. We always advocate that you have a message planned and your outcomes defined for the live stream.
50% of users leave a live stream in 90 seconds or less if it has low quality video. The general guideline is that every 6-second delay in the start results in the 6% viewer bounce. We talked about
We
this.
just talked about it, yeah.
Mhm. And so, these sorts of things, we need to make sure that we are pegged to the money, to the message, to the goal. Okay? Cost cuts and DIY approaches need to also include the ideas of whether you're going to pay for copyrighted music, whether you're going to pay for copyrighted images or footage or talent, because Facebook, Instagram, Zoom don't necessarily flag those places. Facebook does flag music.
Okay.
Who else's flags music?
Well, YouTube.
YouTube definitely flags music. And so you have to decide, what kind of music are you going to get? Are you going to use any music? Are you going to have images? Are you going to use stock photos? You're going to stay, there are lots of things that can flag your content, even live content for replay can be flagged because of some copyright issues. So those are, some things that I'm just warning you about as far as outlay of money needs. And if you have a video professional, they'll also walk you through copyrighted content that's also there. Let's talk about the cons. We talk about the cons of live streaming. Let me just add here some important information about the disadvantages of live streaming. While the advantages very much outweigh the disadvantages, it's good to cover some of the tripping points and the
Okay.
obstacles so that brands and businesses can be proactive in making their live video marketing successful. So, technical glitches and unpredictability are one of the biggest drawbacks, right? We talked about, do you have internet? Do
Right.
you have cell access? Is it good? Are there 1,000 people trying to get on one network, right? As seen in the stats that we've talked about, viewers care about the quality of the live stream. Is it stuttering? Is it buffering? We're seeing less in that as we get high-speed internet. These are disadvantages when you're live streaming. And it can depend on the planning that you do before you connect. Poor connections, buffering, and low quality can make your brand look unprofessional and untrustworthy, right? You don't mean to, but there it is. They blame me for it. I can't tell you how many times I've had bad sound happen because somebody didn't have their mic on and they all whip their heads at Piper and go, "What's wrong with you?" It's like, well, they didn't turn on the
Right.
mic, but they're still looking at you as if
Right.
you're the person that made that
If you
flub
had
happen.
headphones on, they're looking at you.
That's right. So live video marketing is relatively cheap. It's easy to get to, right? Brands may also have to fund the initial investment into lighting and appropriate equipment to ensure video and audio quality is high, right? So that's some drawbacks. That's a con. You may have to, get more equipment that is not core to your business. Another factor that brands need to consider before holding live video is the possibility of negative comments. You risk
Yep.
having people come into the comments and dump things. I remember when Zoom was at the beginning of the pandemic, people were bombing Zoom meetings and doing terrible things, porn, or just yelling or disrupting meetings. It's kind of nuts. And so you really have to look at, how private, how controlled can it
It
be?
goes into the planning,
It
right?
does
It's
go.
still part of the planning, and it's it's security in a way,
Right.
right?
You have to come up with a plan of action for addressing these sorts of things that happen live. Flubs, lights going out, mics dropping, So those are some of the cons. Those are some of the things that you need to look out for. That's it for today. We did a deep dive into the real costs of live streaming.
And we covered a lot, but the big idea is this: live video is powerful. It's growing very fast, and it can absolutely elevate your brand when you understand what goes into doing it well. We broke down what live streaming is, the different types of events that you can use it for, and the goals it can support, from boosting awareness to creating real-time community moments.
We also hit those useful stats like how folks are way more likely to watch a live stream than read a post, how behind the scenes content keeps people engaged, and why high quality video matters if you want viewers to stick around.
And of course, we talked about the money. From bandwidth to platforms, equipment, production help, and tech support, the costs add up depending on how polished and interactive you want your live event to be.
Plus, we share what the real risks are: tech glitches, low quality streams, trolls on the chat, and all the fun stuff you want to be prepared for before you hit the go live button.
And at the end of the day, live streaming can be a smart, strategic investment as long as you plan your message, know your goals, and understand what level of support you need.
So go create with intention, experiment, and treat your live streams like the business assets they are. And if you need help figuring out what version fits your budget, what kind of live stream you want, talk to us. You know how to find us. Piper and I are here to encourage you to step up in front of the camera and be seen as the expert in your field. Representation starts here. You got this. You can do this. But if you're not feeling confident of your plan or of your live streaming and it's going to come off kind of not so good, or you think it might not come off so good, let's talk. Book a call and we'll review your live stream plans. I want you to be successful. I know this is just one tool to get to the next level. Velasquez Media is here to help you accomplish that mission. We help businesses, associations, and nonprofits confidently and smoothly get it done.
And this is how we have a studio space. We'd love to record your next video or stream your next event from right here.
We're here to serve. If you have questions about today's episode, link in with us or hit our website, velasquezmedia.com, and book a call. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Change the Reel. If you like the episode, subscribe.
Share it or leave a comment. And remember,
Representation starts here. Hasta pronto!
see you soon.